10 years ago, I was in my undergraduate and I was fortunate enough to be in a place where financially I could manage my own expenses, afford my car, take trips to wherever I wanted, all the while contributing some amount towards my house. For me, this was a huge, huge personal milestone. But when I look back today, not many people are able to do that. So I wanted to share the 3 things that helped me get to that point, and maybe you can get some value out of this. I hope you do. I'll keep it very simple. Let's start. Number 1 for me is the motivation or the willingness to start something. I think it's absolutely fair if you don't have these aspirations, right? There are a lot of people who have career aspirations in terms of they want to join a certain occupation and then they have a 5-year or a 10-year plan, and that for them is success. They like what they do and that's what they want to become. This section is not for those people. This section is only for the people who want to start something but are afraid of doing so. And I want to state why you should. Don't just take my word for it. Absolutely not. But 10 years later, my advice would be that trust me, this is the best time you actually can. And for a couple of reasons. You have the least amount of responsibilities back then. You have the most amount of time on your hands. And your biggest asset during that age is the time you have. You don't have a net worth, you don't have money to invest, but you have a lot of time and creativity that comes with that age that you can invest in something, and you can probably grow that into something that probably 10 years later you never will be able to. For sure. So take more risks because you can. If you find an alternate, sure. But right now, you have time to make those mistakes. Don't make the mistake of not making mistakes because later on it might be too late. If that makes any sense. So the second piece of advice or the learning that I have was a constant acceptance of the fact that I don't know enough or I'm not the best in that field, but I'm ready to learn. I started a business that I knew nothing about. Honestly, probably didn't even Google enough to know about the industry to start a business, let alone. But I've been in that place myself and I've seen a lot of other people be stuck in that place. We call it analysis paralysis, where you want to know so much about a business before you start something. And I talked about this in another video, that it's also called the Dunning-Kruger effect. As soon as you think about a business, that's Mount Stupid. And that's exactly where you want to start the business, but start small and learn. And as you learn, your confidence keeps falling down until you reach a point that's going to be a low point. But that's an amazing place to be in because you get to learn with the experiences that the other person who's going to come into the industry will not have. Use that low point. And then you get the experience, and that's your competitive edge. That's your unfair advantage. But how do you get this advantage? I think there are two main ways where you can get this experience and get the outside help. And you should always be willing to get help in this because you will never know the best. And that's absolutely fine. The first way is through the hiccups you face in a business. In the second month of the operations of my new baby business, right? My business closed down. We decided, along with my co-founder, that we can't do this because the things we had to do did not align with our values. And I will not get into the details because it's not about that. But for me, that was a wake-up call that, something I spent 6 months starting up, I'm going to have to close down in 2 months because of something that's out of my control. But the learning turned out to be 2 weeks later was that it's not out of my control. One door closes, another one opens. And that's where you want to be. You want to constantly learn, adapt, and you can never learn this in a university. That's my guarantee. No course will teach you this. No other experience could have taught me this. But doing it myself was the only way I could have learned. And I did. So I'm glad I did. And the second way of learning was through asking help from others. People I called mentors. People I knew existed who were really good in what they were doing. And I'd heard about them, but I'd never interacted with them. And I thought they're not going to give me 2 minutes of their time because they don't know me. I don't have a relationship with them. They don't owe me anything. And that's where I was absolutely wrong. I reached out to these people. And trust me, I will tell you this phrase, and I can guarantee you nobody will ever turn you down if you say this. Hey, listen, I love what you've done in your career, in your life, and I would love it if you could be my mentor because I feel like there's a lot that I can learn from you. I personally think this is one of the biggest compliments you can give to anyone. I said this to a couple of people in my life, and none of them have ever turned me down. It's got much better odds than asking out a girl, but do this. You will get the help that you never could have imagined from people who know the industry so well. So reach out to people, don't be afraid to ask for help. So don't think of mentors as a romantic relationship. You don't have to be exclusive to one. You can have multiple mentors. You can ask multiple people for different sorts of help. Somebody could be your career mentor, somebody could be an industry mentor, somebody could be a business mentor. So have those people. And it's amazing to have that support circle around you. And this brings me to my third and final advice. It is to have that support circle around you that pushes you out of your comfort zone every single day. For me, this support circle was comprised of two major groups. The first one was my group of friends, which I was very lucky to have because when I think about it, it's impossible to just go out there and find those friends who are constantly looking to push the boundaries, right? There's no WhatsApp group that you can just join for those friends. So I was lucky enough to have those people who had a vision, a 5 or a 10-year vision that was not something any average person would think of. I never would have thought of that. So inevitably, when they would have those visions, I pushed myself to have something of my own. But within that friends group, it was absolutely okay to be average or even below average in that moment because everybody understood it takes time to get there. Now, when I look back to all of my friends, they were able to somewhat achieve the vision that they had. And if I compare them to anybody in the outside world, everybody would think they're successful. But when I say they've somewhat achieved their vision, the reason I say that is because I have an idea of the vision that they had. And they're still not there because their vision was much bigger than that. Even though this might be success for an outsider, I know they will keep pushing. So it's very important to have these people around you who just think big. The second one for me was having a co-founder who completely understood me and knew how to push me and when to push me. For me, that was my sister, but for you, it could be a really good friend, somebody who understands you, somebody who knows how to bring out the best in you. I am personally dependent on other people and I love having a partner in whatever I'm doing. Even going to a gym, I would be much more consistent with my gym if I have another person that I'm accountable. It's a co-founder, so I'm not accountable to them, but there's a certain bit of accountability even amongst partners, right? So for me, that was my co-founder. Find that person for you. Some people operate really well when they're alone, but most of the people I've seen operate at their best when they have that certain person in their lives. And I'm going to keep it simple. If you found any value from what I said today, press subscribe. Maybe I'll make more of these videos. This was just something I was thinking about today and I thought could be valuable to people out there. So yeah, so I'll see you again. Bye.